Cracking on with Combiner Wars reviews, and we're sticking with the Stunticons, and we are reviewing Dragstrip. I'm Mike Dezaras Prime, and yeah, this was a Wave 1 release, the only Wave 1 Stunticon, because they did that whole, we'll release most of the aerial bots on one of the Stunticons, and in Wave 2 we'll release most of the Stunticons in the last aerial bot. I see what they were going for, but they didn't stick the landing, did they? But I'm not going to complain because I have Menasor, I have the Stunticons, I'm a happy Dez. But yeah, I gushed about Mirage when I did my review for Combiner Wars Mirage. It was a pleasant surprise, and I wondered when I got to this review whether I'd be pleasantly surprised with Dragstrip. I'm not. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a cracking mould, and it does all the usual stuff that Mirage does. It has excellent limb modes, it has good robot and car modes, but I mentioned with, when I did the reviews of Breakdown, Sunstreaker, Wheeljack, the paint helps. They remocked the resculpted Wheeljack a lot from Sunstreaker and Breakdown, and it worked. Breakdown's paint scheme is a lot better than Sunstreaker's paint scheme. With Dragstrip and Mirage, considering Mirage and Sunstreaker came out in the same wave, Dragstrip's paint scheme hurts it. Because, let's have a look at it, shall we? If it wants to focus, come on. There we go. Now the head sculpt's nice. It has that nice bleeding visor effect. It's the best way to describe it, a bleeding visor, like he's crying tears of blood because Hasbro didn't paint him very well. But hey, at least Hasbro painted him. Yeah, head sculpt's nice. I like the whole bleeding visor kind of thing. But if we look at the detail everywhere else, there isn't much. You've got the Decepticon symbol there. There's no paint on the chest. The forearms, all you've got is that two-tone on the forearms there. Little bit of silver on the upper biceps. And then you come down to the legs, little bit of silver just above the ankle, and a little bit of that magenta, is it? On the ankle above the foot, the upper foot, the tongue part. And then that fucking grey combiner peg. I don't know what they were thinking with that. Mirage, they did it blue. We'll get into the comparisons in a minute. But yeah, this just, it's lacking. And you've got a bit on the front there, a bit of paint on the front. It's just lacking in terms of paint, and it just feels inferior to Mirage because there's not a lot of detail in this guy. I mean, there's sculpted detail, sure, but the lack of paint hurts it. That really hurts it. And I'm guessing Mirage was more painted. He had better decals or decals in the animated series as opposed to Dragstrip, but it's been a while since I watched G1, so I couldn't tell you. It just, something feels missing, and I think it's down to the paint applications. Yeah, but as a mold, it's still a great mold. His head can go full 360, his arms can go all the way around, they can go up a little bit as well. You've got elbow, a bit of wrist action as well, which is rare for Combiner Wars limbs. Upper bicep swivel, Waist swivel, legs go out, thigh swivel, thigh thingy, yeah, and the knees bend, and a little bit, actually no, I think that's locked in, and yeah, you got a bit of a foot tilt there. So, you know, the mould is still a good mould. I still like the mould and the articulation, and it's tight in most places, and it would be remiss of me to write this off completely in light of what Takara did with theirs, because Takara did that rare move, very rare move, of doing a paint job worse than a Hasbro toy. Because I have only seen images of the Takara Dragstrip, and it looked a lot worse than this. I think it's 99% yellow, which isn't a good look. But yeah, the silver peg hurts it. I'd have gone with the magenta for that, just to break it up a little bit. There's very little other detailing on it. It's just good mould. Like I've said before, there's just something missing. Anyway, we can get more into detail with that now, because I'm going to do the comparison with Mirage. Now, this is one of those rare instances where I only have two to compare, not millions. So let's get a good look at them. The obvious difference, head sculpt. You got Mirage's nice head sculpt there with the silver paint on the face and on those side vents. Like I said, Dragstrip has that crying visor look about him. It's got a very animated vibe, like Transformers animated. I dig that. But the chest, like I said, there's all that nice sculpted detail in there, but it's got that grey combiner peg, whereas Mirage's is blue on the white, which really helps to blend the colours better. Forearms and shoulders appear to be the same sculpting, which, you know, these are what Dragstrip's Wave 1, I think Mirage is Wave 4, and Sunstreaker had the exact same moulding, bar the head, as Breakdown. Forearms are the same. Dragstrip has the silver vent panels there, Mirage has it in red, but Mirage also has, here's the big difference, one of the major differences here. Mirage has that nice white forearm. Let's bring Dragstrip around a little bit more. Dragstrips, and then he has blue with the 62 circuit racing, and then he has another white stripe there, which really makes the forearms pop, whereas Dragstrip just has that orangey yellow and then purple for the rest of the job. It just feels lacking. The thighs and waist. See, Mirage even has, it looks like he's wearing blue boxers or briefs. And then there's the white thighs. Whereas Dragstrip just has the magenta all the way down. Although it does look like, if you look closely, his legs are originally yellow plastic. So it's almost like Takara just sanded him down. Would have been nice to see something to break it up there. And then if we come down to the shins, I mean, check. It's just, you know, Dragstrip has the silver painted piping there that Mirage is lacking, but Mirage has that white all the way up the centre of the shin, and then the blue on either side, whereas Dragstrip is just fucking yellow, and it's bland. He has the little purple paint job there, but then Mirage has completely silver painted feet, which really, it makes it pop again. The wheels are both painted silver, so yeah, points for that, I guess. But yeah, all in all, Mirage is just better. He's more successful, he looks better, and it's still, I'll say it again, it's a cracking mould. I really like this mould. And when it comes to ranking my top 10 figures of Combiner Wars, which I'm wondering whether I can do a top 10 because I have about 40 of them. I might have to do a 15 or a 20, but I might be able to narrow it down to 10 based on figures and paint jobs and not just mould. When it comes to the top 10, there is a chance Mirage will crack the top 10. Can't say the same for Dragstrip. I know I won't put them in, oh well, and at number 7 is this mould. No, because Mirage is so much more superior to Dragstrip. So it's a case of, when it comes to the top 10, Mirage might very well make it in. I'm confident he'll make it in. Dragstrip, not so much. Anyway, let's get to Dragstrip's vehicle mode. Guys, the transformation's still delightful. I really do like transforming this. It's quick, it's simple, it's fun, but it's innovative in ways as well. Like spinning that around, and the waist needs to be swiveled. A lot of the Combiner Wars limbs, they don't need a waist swivel. It's only there for the limb mode. The vehicle mode is a step up from the robot. I'll give it that. It still lacks the sponsorship decals and stuff like that Mirage has, even though they're not really sponsors, but you know what I mean. But the vehicle mode definitely has more detail visible. It's got the mainly purple, mainly yellow, but with the magenta stripe works. It goes together nicely enough. But you've got these silver details here that really add something to it, as well as the bars that the wheels attach to here, which you don't really see very well in vehicle mode. And the black seat. So it's the vehicle mode. What little paint there is more apparent in the vehicle mode. It looks better in vehicle mode because it makes use of that scarce amount of paint work that it has. But yeah, it's a step up from the robot mode in terms of design and paint, but it's still not a patch on Mirage. Speaking of, let's get a closer look at the two together. Okay, so Dragstrip and Mirage in their vehicle mode, and this is what I was talking about. Dragstrip, the limited paint does show up more. It's more apparent in the vehicle mode, but it still feels like half-baked compared to Mirage, like I mentioned with his forearms, and you see it in the vehicle mode as well. You've got that white stripe, you've got the circuit racing, whereas Dragstrip just has the massive magenta piece that goes all the way down. And spoiler is, orange with a magenta stripe, and Mirage's is silver. Both have the black seats. Dragstrip has the Decepticon symbol there. I'm sorry about this, it's the shadow. But yeah, you can see the Decepticon symbol. And Mirage has 62 again, and an Autobot symbol, and also a dual painted front spoiler. Blue with the white middle part. Dragstrip has the line that goes all the way down, but again, primarily yellow. I will say this though, Mirage has the white axles, I want to say, whereas Dragstrips are at least painted silver. So he has his points over Mirage, I guess, but I feel like overall, Mirage is still the better figure, better painted figure. It's still a cracking mold, I've said that enough, but I just feel Mirage pulls it off better. So that's pretty much all I can say about it. Let's get to Dragstrip's limbs. Okay, so here's where I eased up on Dragstrip a little bit. Because, like Mirage, he has, the limb modes are still bang on the money. And in a strange way, the lack of paint helps it, because you're not looking at all these sponsors and shit, and it's... he looks... I feel like the limb modes look better because they haven't got all the extra detail, so there's less to look at, so you can look at him more as a leg, whereas with Mirage, you'd be seeing all the details. You're like, oh, that's Mirage. But, that's not to take away anything from Mirage's leg mode. I just feel like, in this instance, less is more. But it's still a cracking leg mode. He's got the kick pad there, and the back is all nice and compact, with that only gap being where the peg folds down. Yeah, you could carve it, I guess, like that, but that's completely up to you. I tend to stick with it like that. Actually, I've got Dragstrip as an arm at the minute, so yeah, his leg mode is cracking. It's a great leg mode. This mold is a great all-rounder. It's a good all-purpose figure, in my opinion. I know Gerard Wolfgang 1 doesn't agree with characters or toys being given gimmicks that don't suit them. He doesn't like the idea of non-combiners being combiners and stuff, which is fair enough. Some people like their toys or the characters the way they're supposed to be, and sometimes shoehorning a gimmick into a character for the sake of doing so can be an issue, but in some cases it works. I like the Mirage Combiner Wars limb. It's a very good figure. Gerard mentioned about Titan's Return having this. He has issues with Titan's Return because of that. I fucking love Titan's Return, and it isn't as intrusive to me. But it's to each their own, isn't it? I haven't even got to the arm mode yet. I might as well fucking put him in arm mode while I'm having this little discussion with you all. So yeah, no cut for the arm mode here. I do like that part of it. It's one of those things where it's subject to preference and personal opinion. I personally love Titan's Return, and even the characters that shouldn't have the Titan's Return or the Headmaster gimmick, I can appreciate that we have those figures still, because Astra Train's a good example. Astra Train, yeah, he shouldn't be a Headmaster. He shouldn't be a Titan Master or whatever. But at least we have a Voyager-sized Astro Train. Because the only Astro Train I had before was the Deluxe Classics, which Astro Train's a triple change. One of his modes is a train, the other mode is a space shuttle. He needs to be big. So I appreciate that, flaws aside, the train mode isn't great. We have a Voyager Astro Train. We have a bigger Astro Train. That's the best way. That's how I look at it. But again, I can see the point. Shoehorning gimmicks don't always work. But I feel like with Mirage, it does. Prowl, it does. Let's get to... Here's the arm mode. It's that great arm mode that I like, that's nice and compact, and he's got the Mr. Boyd arms. and the nice forearm is all neat and tidy. Still a very good arm mode. Yeah, sometimes it works. The Power of the Prime's Dinobots, I don't feel needed to be combiners. I'm fine with them. I don't display them as Volcanicus. Every other combiner is displayed as a combiner. I don't display the Dinobots as Volcanicus. But yeah, and there is the whole argument of, well, let's repaint them and make more money. Good example. But it can work sometimes. But yeah, I think it's a discussion I'd like to have a more in-depth discussion with Gerard about, actually. Because there are points to be made on both sides. And I don't know how we'd go about it, whether we'd just record a discussion at a convention or whether he'd put his opinion piece up and I'd put my opinion piece up. I don't know. It's definitely something I want to explore more, because I'm not just going to be one of those that like, oh, this is great, yeah, fuckers, shut up, yeah, there's nothing wrong with this. No. I'm open to hearing other people's opinions. I personally feel like some of it works, some of it doesn't. I love the Titan's Return line, but there are certain instances where it doesn't quite hit the mark. I'm willing to admit that. But yeah, Dragstrip's on. Let's get back on topic. Gerard, if you're watching this, I might message you beforehand, actually, and then see if we can work something out. It's a successful arm mode again. There's nothing wrong with it. It is one of the better arm modes. And again, lack of paint and lack of detail kind of helps that in a way. But it's, yeah, I still feel out of the two molds, Mirage is the more successful one. Because his robot and vehicle modes do stand out more. They pop better, they look better as robot and vehicle. And even his limb modes are still excellent, in my opinion. But yeah, that's been my review of Combiner Wars Dragstrip. One of the Stunticons. And yeah, I'm definitely curious if anybody else has their opinions on Titan's Return and Combine, or basically any line that has the shoehorned in gimmicks. If there's something that you don't feel should have been implemented, or if they just made the toys for the sake of making the toys, sound off in the comments, do a video response. I'll definitely want to explore this in more detail. So yeah, see if we can maybe get a community thing going where we'll all give our opinions on this shit. It might be worth doing. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. That has been my review of Combiner Wars Dragstrip. I'll be back with another review in a couple of days. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Dezaras Prime. You shall see me next time.